Public Works and Planning Committee to order. Call the roll.
Commissioner Dodd?
Here.
Commissioner Cush?
Here.
Commissioner Nippa?
Here.
Commissioner Piercy?
Here.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens?
Here.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Here. Need approved minute.
Mr. Chairman, I did. Go ahead.
I so moved to approve the minute.
I'll second.
Made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, first up's Highway Department.
Good evening, Commissioners. Ms. Becky.
Got a little sun. Yeah. You can tell it's the first day of paving, isn't it?
That's correct. Good guess. Good guess. Well, don't know if you've had an opportunity to review our budget, but it was passed yesterday at the road board meeting, and now we're here to answer any questions that you gentlemen may have. Nothing I can tell you, just, briefly, I can tell you that not much has changed since last year. The only really significant changes are on payroll, number of employees, payroll, and then the benefits associated with those new employees, as well as our regular employees and the raise that they'll be receiving. There is some last year's total budget did reflect the bridge on Weekly Lane, as well as some dump trucks and pickups that we recently purchased. So that's why that's looks like it does. But just we're again turning in a balanced budget, and very proud to do so. Everybody's really working together, and I feel like we've got everybody kind of watching really close, and we're getting a lot accomplished. We were fortunate. We got our asphalt vendor to keep the plant open an extended period of time this winter, which allowed us to do some much needed shoulder improvements, Baker Road and Old Nashville Highway specifically. So that worked out very well, but just year to date, where we're at on everything, so that you can look at how we did last year, what we projected and what we actually wound up spending. We're about, year to date, we're about 75% of the way through our budget year, and we have very few items that we have exceeded the 75% number on. And of those items, there are things that we can't, we've already paid them, and it's kind of a one-time pay thing, most of them anyway. The asphalt and the salt are the two exceptions. We're almost right at 75% on our asphalt money, and then our salt money is completely exhausted. But that's fine, because we have a totally full storage shed right now, so I think fine there. So if you want to use the same technique that you approved the minutes, that'd be all right.
Do they have another choice?
That was real. But they might have
Asking
questions.
questions for 30 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've got one.
Okay.
Your employees, did they get the same percentage raise across the board, or was it different
Yes.
for some?
It was the same raise across the board. That's what we did this year.
Can you tell us how much the percentage was?
Percentage, no, I didn't really do a percentage. I did a straight number for everyone. That last year, Last year I took all of our employees, all of our employees, with the exception of a few that have been there just a very short period of time, are responsible for doing about the same job. So there's, for employees that have been there for a significant period of time, that does have a value. That kind of dedication does have a value. However, the younger guys that were coming in, that we must have, because we have a lot of people that are of retirement age. So the younger guys we had come in that have really taken a hold and done really well. I found the middle of our payroll, and the ones that were below that level got more than the ones that were above it. Trying to get everybody a little closer together that were doing very similar jobs. And this year we felt like we had kind of achieved that, so we just gave everybody the same thing across the board.
Same dollar amount.
Yes.
More folks.
We have more positions, but we currently only have one additional employee than I think we had last year when we were here.
Yes.
I believe
Yes.
that's right. But we have a couple of positions that we haven't filled yet. We have one gentleman actually just recently went back to his old former employer. So we lost a guy there, so hasn't got him replaced yet.
Well, I'll make the motion to move it on to the next committee that has nothing to say about it. How's that?
Okay.
I'll second.
Made and seconded.
You can do by acclamation.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so, we are, for those folks at home that are watching, and those of you that haven't done this simple arithmetic yet, we are $192,000 to the good. So, in the black. So we're very proud of that.
Thanks, Greg.
Have a good evening.
Yeah.
Them cold. Bye.
Good evening, Commissioners. How are you?
Good evening. Good.
As I noted, I gave you all a copy of the report this month, but I mentioned that this is probably the last time I'm going to give you the paper copy. We started uploading this to our website this month. The format might change a little bit over the next month or two, but all the information on there will be the same. So you'll be able to access this within the first day or two of the month, every month on our website. And also, of course, on the iPad at the monthly meeting. So, month of March was busy. We had a total of 307 permits issued, 42 single-family dwelling, which was up about 20% from February. Total revenue for permits was $125,286, and that was up about $20,000 from last month and up significantly from last year. Development tax also.
Sandy, it appears that's total revenue, 125,000. I don't know if you look back to see how many months it's been since we've been that high.
Yes, that actually took us up over our projected revenue for this year was $744,450 projected revenue for the entire fiscal year, and this month took us up to a little better than 815,000. So we're already well over our projected revenue for this year. We still have 3 months left. So yeah, this last month was pretty busy. Development tax for the month was $720,000, and that is everything inclusive. That's Laverne, Smyrna, Murfreesboro, Eagleville, and Rutherford County. Rutherford County's alone was 143,250. Which was up from last month. Murfreesboro had a pretty big apartment complex come in this month, so that's where a majority of that came from. Zoning, we had a total up again this month. We're getting into spring, so we're going to see that number get up a little bit for the next 5-6 months. We had 222 inspections this month. Nothing really exceptional to note there. It's just a lot of swimming pools, a lot of dumping, drainage, stuff like that.
Are your violations, y'all generally get a phone call from somebody to
We get
inspect?
yes, generally we get a telephone call. We have put a fillable form now on our website. It's not, we haven't really kind of advertised and let people know that, but our website is coming around. We're really working on it, trying to get it more user-friendly. We have put a fillable form on there for them to fill out, but we haven't had much activity on it. But it's only been up for about 4 weeks. The majority of them are email or telephone call.
Well, I move that we approve our report.
Second.
Motion made and second.
You can take a motion.
Motion made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a nice evening.
Okay, planning.
Evening, Commissioners. Afraid I'm going to be a little more chatty than I normally am tonight. So we have a lot of things to talk about. The first thing on the agenda here I want to talk about is just the available lot inventory. As Tanya had alluded to, they were busy, so when they're busy, we're also busy. You'll see in the available lot inventory that our available lots ticked up just a little bit. It was 690 and change, like 695, 96 last month, ticked up to 703. We had a couple of larger plats that were recorded. Even with that, though, our lot inventory only went up by less than 10 lots. So you can see that the lots are moving. One particular subdivision right above that total of 703, you'll see Waldron Farms, Section 5, Phase 2D. That was just recorded about a month ago, and even last month there were 12 permits just pulled out of that one for that one subdivision. So lots are moving. So again, this is not unexpected. I knew we had a lot in the pipeline, we still do. We're going to still see fluctuations, so this wasn't a big surprise by any means. But as you can see on the last page there, our total lots that have not been recorded yet is over 3,000. So that means they're somewhere in the process, generally that they're preliminarily approved or they've got final plats that just haven't been recorded yet. So as we see our lot inventory go up, we'll see this number fluctuate probably down. The last month or so, we haven't seen as many new starts in the Planning Commission, this past month at least. But we still foresee, more and more subdivisions coming our way for review. So if there's no questions on that, we'll go ahead and this will take up the majority of the time, is the rezoning report. We're going to have 5 cases for your consideration this month. The first is actually a holdover from, it's supposed to have been in January of this year. It's now coming back before us. This is for property located along, well, the address is actually Macon Road, but it fronts along John Bright Highway. It's toward the eastern end of our county by Martin Watts. The applicant has provided information which you can find on your iPads. They want to rezone a portion of the property, about 10 acres, in order to operate an automobile transport company. The business has about 23 semi-trucks total, but an average of 3 or 5 on the property at any given time. These trucks are primarily on the road. The office will have 3 office employees and 23 drivers. They estimate adding between 2 and 5 employees yearly. They did include a concept plan for your review. They are asking for light industrial zoning due to the trucks, really, is why. It was just an office, and this was discussed at the Planning Commission. They probably could have gotten by with a lighter zoning classification, but because of the truck storage in the back, it necessitated a light industrial zone classification. There wasn't a whole lot of discussion from the public on this, but the Planning Commission did discuss this for several minutes. There was concern about the traffic in the area, especially the proximity of this property to the Kittrell School. Even though that's on Woodbury Pike, this being on John Pike Highway, there were some concerns about that, possible future uses of the property, and the appropriateness for industrial zoning in that area. It was discussed that there will be a new electric substation being built to the west of this property, and that industrial zoning was probably more appropriate here than it would be along other areas of that node. So ultimately, the Planning Commission did recommend approval. It wasn't unanimous. It was 7-4 and 2 against. The reason this was pulled off the agenda back in January was since they're only rezoning a portion of the property, they need to provide us a legal description so we can accurately reflect what the zoning is on the zoning map. They were just now able within the last month to get that, so that's the big reason that's the holdup on that. Had nothing to do with them waiting on anything as far as the business side of things. It was really just getting that legal description, so that's why it's a little late being brought to you. The second case that we brought before you, this one's a little unusual in how it's coming before you, but this is it's by Anthony Snook by the Christiana Volunteer Fire Department. About a month ago, this property is located along Sledge Road. There's an existing volunteer fire station on this property. There was a plat that was submitted to our office back in February of this year. The existing building on the property was constructed back in 1990, and the county actually was granted this lease back in 1988, and it's been used for the fire department all this time. The owner of the property is desiring to donate this area that they have for the lease, about 2/3 of an acre, to Rutherford County to use as a fire station. The subdivision plat was submitted to our office. We did our review. The issue we're running into is the minimum lot area for non-residential uses like this in the RM zone has to be an acre. So after discussing this with Mayor Burgess and the county attorney and the fire chief, decision was made to recommend that we rezone this property to office professional, which only requires a 20,000 square foot minimum lot size. So that subdivision wouldn't be an issue. Now, this will be going to the Planning Commission this coming Monday, but we advertised it properly for the County Commission, which will be meeting again next Thursday. It still ran its 15-day notice. There's not a minimum separation that you have to do between Planning Commission and Board of Commissioners meeting. So this is a little unusual in how it's coming before you, but due to the time constraints with this, we thought this was the best course of action. So we don't have a recommendation at this point, although I don't foresee this really causing any strife in the area. It's going to be a volunteer fire station. It's always been. It's going to continue to be used in that manner. It really boils down to the lot size, what became the issue on that. The third rezoning case we have before you is for property located along Epps Mill. Well, it's actually off of Epps Mill Road. It's actually accessed from within the Buchanan Estate subdivision over off of the Buchanan exit off I-24 exit 89. This property was originally the subject of a rezoning late last year, November, for residential multifamily. The applicant first met with staff regarding this project. We advised that a planned development approach was probably the best approach for this. The county really doesn't have a whole lot of areas with multifamily zoning for the obvious reason that for really more intense multifamily developments, you have to have sanitary sewer for that. And typically, if they're going to be sanitary sewer, they're going to be annexed into the city. So you are allowed to have single-family units within the multifamily zone. You can have smaller lot sizes, which is why the applicant was looking for that particular zoning classification. We recommended to him, again, a planned development approach. They decided to go ahead and pursue the multifamily zone. Ultimately, the Planning Commission did vote to recommend denial of this request, and the applicant did pull after the Planning Commission denial. Consistent with Chapter 9 of the zoning ordinance, our planned development regulations, the applicant decided to go ahead and file for a planned development application. They had their neighborhood meeting back in January of this year at Whitworth Buchanan Middle School. It was a very well-attended meeting. A lot of the same concerns that were brought up by the neighbors in the area over the multifamily zoning were brought up at this meeting as well. There is a pattern book that kind of gives you an overview. It's on your iPads. Just roughly speaking, the pattern book calls for 166 lots, which is roughly 4 units an acre. Homes are going to be a minimum of 1,200 square feet with 1 or 2 car garages, paved driveways, and decorative mailboxes. They would have a minimum of 10% masonry requirement on their frontages, with the remaining areas being vinyl sided for the most part. They do identify 4 phases with plans to build approximately 40 homes a year. Of course, a lot of that's going to be dependent on the market, but that's just what his expectation is. And again, the pattern book is on your iPads if you wanted to view that. The biggest issue that was discussed with this particular application was the fact that there was no direct access to Epps Mill Road. The only access to this subdivision, or this proposed subdivision, would be through the Buchanan Estates on Dunbar Lane. There is an existing stub-out street that hits the property. There was a lot of discussion about that. Ultimately, when the Planning Commission did recommend approval of this, they recommended approval, but they required a condition that a temporary emergency ingress-egress easement be established along with the access to Dunbar Lane, so they'd have a temporary access off the property to one of the other stub streets in the area, with a permanent secondary access to the subdivision to be established after 80 lots of the subdivision. Of course, we would have the fire chief help us with the with the temporary access and the permanent as well. Again, that was the majority of the discussion that we had, was the traffic and the access, and that motion did pass. I guess it was 8-4 and 1 against. It was not unanimous. It was 8-4 and 1 against. So a little different on that one, just because of the fact that it didn't have direct access to Epps Mill Road. It's quite a little ways away from there. You couldn't just have a direct road to it. So that was one of the biggest concerns that the commission had. The next application is property located at the intersection of Barfield Road and Highway 99. Let's flip to that here. This property was actually the subject of an annexation and zoning request for multifamily zoning into the city of Murfreesboro back in 2016. Those requests were ultimately withdrawn by the applicant, and he's making this request to the County Planning Commission. The question was posed at the meeting as to why this wasn't being requested for annexation into the city, and the answer given by the applicant's representative was that the commercial services zone, which is what this application is asking for, met the needs of the applicant without having to request annexation into the city. So if they ever decide that they want to access the sanitary sewer, they will have to request annexation into the city at that time. What they would like to do is zone the property to commercial services and construct mini warehouses on at least a portion of the property. The applicant does understand that many warehouses are classified under our zoning ordinance as what are called general personal services. This use specifically is required to obtain a special exception from the Board of Zoning Appeals. So even if he does get the rezoning application, he still has another step he would have to go through. And then after that, if he gets approval, he'd have to do site plan review and all that through the Planning Commission. So, and the applicant was made aware of all of that. There wasn't a whole lot of discussion on this. Again, the most of the discussion really was why it wasn't annexed into the city, why the applicant wasn't requesting that. There was also some discussion about some of the allowable uses in commercial services. That's, of our 3 commercial zones, that's kind of our middle of the road zone, I call it. Commercial neighborhoods are most restrictive, commercial general is the least restrictive, so commercial services is kind of in the middle. So ultimately, the Planning Commission did recommend approval of that by a unanimous vote.
Which parcel is going to get the mini storage if I'm looking?
Well, it might be a combination of a couple of, yeah.
They're not in site design yet?
No,
I'm sorry.
no. I would imagine probably the majority of it would be that larger tract. There's a smaller tract that you can see that smaller one that calls out tax map 113 parcel 5.13.
Yeah.
That's actually owned by the Murfreesboro Water and Sewer Department. It's a location of a pump right. They don't have a need for it anymore, and they're in negotiation to sell it back to the applicant. We do have a letter in the file, though. They know this is going forward and didn't have any issue with it. But that was, when I first looked at their concept plan, that was one of the first questions we had was, well, you know, are you zoning everything around here in this too, or what are you doing? So, but we did have conversations with Murfreesboro Water and Sewer about that.
The commercial highway, the corner itself is commercial highway, City of Murfreesboro?
Yes, I believe that's correct. I've got it, yes.
The yellow notch, I'm on the colored map.
Okay, let me.
Is it city as well?
Yes, if it's colored on that map that you're looking at, it would be City of Murfreesboro. It's pretty much surrounded by the city, quite frankly. Across the street, you've got World Outreach Church. The property directly across New Salem Highway, if I remember correctly, that larger tract, I believe that's owned by the church as well.
Yeah, it's their ball fields.
Right.
There's just a unusual, small yellow color that RS-15. There's a little piece of RS-15.
Yeah, right there along Highway 99, I believe is what you're talking about.
And Old Barfield.
Yes. Thank you. Yes, when that was originally annexed into the city, that portion there that was annexed into the city, whenever a piece of property is annexed into the city, if there's not a corresponding zoning request going along with it, if it's zoned residential in the county, it defaults to RS-15 going into the city. So that's probably why that happened.
Thanks.
Any other questions on that one? All right, the last application we have is for property located along Rockville Road. This is Burke Skelton's application. This has a fairly long description on it. I'll try to be as brief as I can. The applicant operates a landscape business, well, he was operating on Thompson Road in the county. He received a notice of violation and then began the process of identifying a new location for the business. He purchased the subject property that we're talking about now, and requested a rezoning to establish the business at this new location. Prior to requesting the change, he had obtained a building permit back in October of 2015 to construct a pole barn on the property. After we received some complaints about the possible use of the new structure, our building code staff went out and inspected the building. The inspection showed a large amount of interior work had been done to the building. Plumbing, HVAC were in the process of being added. Again, with no permits. It was just permitted as a pole barn. So the codes department put a stop work order on the building until proper zoning approvals were obtained, and that's when he came to us and started talking to us about all this. This request was originally brought to the Planning Commission back in November of last year. There were a number of people who spoke and had a lot of concerns about this. The applicant at that time, the Planning Commission decided to defer the application, and to allow the applicant opportunity to explore a plan development application. In December, he decided to continue forward with his commercial services request, and that was ultimately denied by the Planning Commission, so he withdrew that application and then met with us not long after that and decided ultimately to go ahead with a plan development application, which is what you're seeing here today. Again, consistent with Chapter 9, he did have a neighborhood meeting back in January at the Rockville Community Center. A lot of the same people who were at the public hearing were also at this meeting. Several concerns were brought up, included the appropriateness of the commercial use along this corridor, septic issues on the property, possible flooding issues, and what would become of the existing mobile home on the property. According to the information, again, there's a pattern book on your iPads for your review. His name of his company is Outdoors Unlimited. He plans to employ up to 25 people at peak season, but maintain a workforce of 6 people year-round. This property would be used for storage and maintenance of equipment, along with the office work. The existing single-family trailer on the property would be removed based on his pattern book. The building is shown on the concept plan along with future improvements, covered storage, parking areas, and again, there's additional information in the pattern book for your review. There was quite a bit of discussion on this particular item at the Planning Commission. Again, a lot of that discussion centered around the appropriateness of the use in the area, the septic soils, and traffic concerns. The applicant has obtained a soil scientist, and they have identified another soil site on the property. There was a lot of discussion regarding the existing soil site, or the area that they're going to use for the soil site on this property. A lot of work had been done, apparently under a previous owner. The owner had it and had taken out a permit for a modification, which was never completed or inspected. The applicant completed it, but again, was never inspected at that point. So TDEC has basically looked at it and said, yes, there's a system there, but in order to ever obtain commercial permits, he needs to have a backup area in the event that the existing system were to ever fail. He did have a soil scientist go out there. He has identified a site. They're working through that process now. One of the conditions, ultimately, the planning commission did recommend approval of this, but they did add a condition that adequate soils had to be identified for the proposed use, which, I mean, that's something we would review anyway. You know, if something were to ever come and didn't have proposed soils that would work for the property, they wouldn't be able to get a building permit. But I was glad that they put something in there that was as explicit as it was, just so the applicant was on notice, and he was aware of that, but he was on notice, and everybody there was on notice that this was a big concern for staff, the planning commission as well. So with that, I know I've talked on here for several minutes. I'll be quiet now, see if you have any other questions. Unfortunately, a couple of these cases were controversial, this one in particular, so usually I try to get up there and be out of your hair in 5 minutes. I don't think that's going to happen this month, so.
What was the commission's?
Ultimate, their recommendation was to pass to approval, unanimous vote.
Is that a stream behind it?
There is, yes, sir.
Blue line or?
No, it is an identified stream, yes. Now, another question that had come up, that area of the stream was not, the study that FEMA had done on the floodplain ended quite a ways away. So if you're just looking at the flood map, it says Zone X. But I know there's some flooding issues out in that area, maybe not so much with his property, but some of the surrounding properties.
Is there a motocross or something next door? Looks like a track.
There's not an approved one.
Looks like a very circuitous path in the.
You're talking to the property to the right of the subject property? Is that the one you're talking about? If you're looking at it?
To the left, actually. Here you go. I'm just curious about that.
Oh, in the back there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it may have been some sort of a makeshift thing. It's nothing formal. I see what you're talking about. Nothing that's been formalized or nothing that was approved by
Was that
staff.
person?
No, I don't believe that was one of the people who spoke, one way or the other. There's several people out there who are for this, several who are against it. It's kind of 50-50.
Where's the co-op?
I'm sorry?
Where's the co-op's just to the,
Yes.
to the northeast there? Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
I'll make a motion to approve this report.
Second. Motion and second.
Did you have?
Any budget question?
Yeah, I'm good. Okay. Thank you.
Call roll. Made second. All in favor?
Aye.
I do have one other item for your review tonight, and that is a budget amendment, which is included on your iPads. Essentially, what we're asking for is just to shift some money within our budget. With increased activity and increased subdivisions comes increased inspections. And now that we have 2 full-time inspectors that are doing a lot of the driving, and quite frankly, their vehicles are probably not the most fuel efficient in the world, we're running out of money for gasoline. So what we're proposing to do is shift some money into our gasoline line item from our in-service training and our printing stationery and forms, taking $750 out of both in-service and printing and moving it to gasoline for $1,500. Again, this is just all within budget, no new money here, and that should last us to the end of the fiscal year.
Motion to approve. Second.
Made and second. All in favor?
Now we call.
You got a call?
Now we call.
Okay.
Spending money now.
Spending money.
Trading money. Trading money, yeah.
Commissioner Dodd?
Yes.
Commissioner Kush?
Yes.
Commissioner Nipper?
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we're finally ready for solid waste.
Last but definitely not least. How are y'all this evening?
Good.
We've been busy the last few weeks, but it's normal, a busy time for us when schools are out for spring break. So landfill's been staying busy, and we've got quite a bit of stuff done, and we're going to do budget amendment here for the landfill again. here shortly. But the revenues are still rolling in, the trash is still rolling in, we're still pushing and packing and burying and hauling dirt. So that's about all I can tell you about the landfill. On the convenience center side, or the recycle center side, it's been extremely busy. We started yesterday morning with 130 loads on the ground. Asked the guys to work a little extra, and I got in the truck myself, and yesterday and today, collectively, they hauled 111 loads and 145 truck hours. Now, that's not man hours, that's just that's the actual operational hours of the truck when it was busy. If it was sitting, then it doesn't count. And by doing that, they averaged 7.4 loads per driver per day. So that's picking up the pace and trying to get it done. Sunday used to be our busiest day, now Tuesday is, so we probably fell behind today. I'll find that out tonight when I get back to the office. But with the increase in population and the change in the seasons and everything else, I guess we'll stay busy. And we're still a driver short, trying to find one, but they're hard to find. That's what Greg was talking about too, trying to replace people. It's kind of hard to find the right people. So electronics collection is still staying busy as normal and doing quite a bit. Got several phone calls. Last Friday I was answering the phone. Of course, we're closed down there on Friday, so I guess Fridays is the day everybody wants to go, but they all show up on Saturday instead. A couple of weeks ago we had our oil-based paint collection. We had less than 20 people show up. A little disappointing. We also have it on our website where you can call and get an appointment to drop that off, and we've had 3 to do that. So, and we're doing that because TDEC's is requiring that. They're also giving us another household hazardous waste event this year. We'll have 2. So Saturday before Mother's Day we'll have HHW. We have the fewest participants per capita than any county in the state. So they're thinking if we have 2 events, maybe that will change. My thinking is we'll just spread it out. So we'll wait and see where that goes.
That low in the state in the recycling effort, or just taking advantage of those days?
Taking advantage of those days.
Those events.
What we've done in the past is our area neighbors have always requested their household hazardous waste in the spring. So we've always requested ours in the fall. It's a state-sponsored event, so as long as you're a resident of Tennessee, you can go to any county. So our residents theoretically have more than one opportunity. They just have to drive a little further. We wanted we've been doing it the first Saturday in November for a long time. We wanted the first Saturday in May, but Williamson County does it that week. And they were right. They don't need 2 large counties, neighboring counties doing it on the same day. So that's the reason we're on the 13th. But if it's not heavily attended, we'll probably not get another one the second one next year. Any questions on that? We have a meeting the 21st of April. It's the SWAC committee. Meeting for their 3rd time with the consultants, so hopefully that'll be well attended. We'll learn a whole lot more.
It's a daytime meeting this time, isn't it?
Any other questions? Some of the other departments come to you and ask you about dollars and money and all that, and I am not asking, don't get me wrong. But had a really good center attendant, applied for the Murfreesboro Solid Waste Convenience Center job. And the director and I, they are really close. He gave me a call and he asked about Martin. And I said, well, you'd be doing yourself a disservice if you didn't at least interview him. And I asked him if you're going to pay him more money, and he said, yeah. Going to be full-time and benefits, so we're losing a center attendant to Murfreesboro, but he's going to make a whole lot more money, get to work more hours, plus have benefits, so you cannot fault the young man for that. So, so we're looking for a replacement for Las Casas. Yeah, Steve ran that for a little while one Sunday. You want to do that again?
if you'll pay me.
You did it for free the last time.
I had a good reason. I was helping a man that needed help.
Yep, sure did.
You've got money. Have we ever considered trying to put them on full-time?
They used to be on full-time years ago when they first started. They were all full-time, and when I started almost 9 years ago now, we had 2 left that was on full-time.
So how many people, how many attendants do we have?
We've got right now 40 positions.
How many would we have if it was full-time?
40. What would they do the rest of the time?
Well, the full-time attendance works every week instead of every other.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They'd have a job every week, right?
Mhm.
Same person, same days, every week.
And then we have extra attendance on weekends at some centers and things like that, so you'd have more people than what we've had in the past. When we first started that, the centers were slow enough, one person could handle each of them. It's not that way
How many
anymore.
people would it take to run it full-time?
It depends on which center. We've got several of the centers that just have one person all week long. Then we've got some that have an additional person on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then we've got Weekly Lane, Sand Hill has 2 people all week long. And Weekly Lane has 3 people throughout the week and 2 extra people on Friday and Saturday, or 1 extra person on Friday and Saturday. So we've got a lot of different variations, and a lot of it depends on how busy the center is. Almaville's got an extra one on weekends. Rock Crusher has one on weekends. Walter Hill has an extra one on weekends. And those are our busiest centers. But if you look at where they are, Weekly, Sand Hill, downtown Laverne, Smyrna, Rock Crusher, and Walter Hill, north and south side of Murfreesboro. Almaville covers that west side of Smyrna. Those are the busiest 5. And then it's a really close race for the next, 6 through 10 is pretty close in how busy they are. Doesn't matter how large they are, just how busy they are. The hardest one for us to keep up with on the weekend is Leanna, because it's only 1 trash compactor and 3 open tops. So we're sending trucks pretty regular out there to keep them going over the weekend. When I drove the truck yesterday, Sand Hill normally has 13 open tops. When I got up there, I looked around, I thought, let me count these, there's 15. And the reason that they had 15 is 2 weekends in a row, they wound up taking an extra open top for metal, because we don't have a place to dump metal on Sunday. And it wound up staying there. So, and there's enough room there for them, so I'm not sure we're going to pull them out. Weekly Lane normally has 14 open tops. And the rest of them vary depending on the size. Most of the centers have as many open tops as there's space to have one, but not all of them. Rock Springs, Christiana, Eagleville, and Epps Mill, because they could have more, but they just don't need them. They're the 4 furthest out centers, but they're the 4 least busy. And for our part, operation-wise, it would be nice to have full-time employees, but you still have to worry about vacations and everything else.
Let me tell you, just roughly, it'll be at least $500,000 more than we're currently spending. If you hire 20, if you could do it with 20 instead of 40.
Our 40 right now in the budget is a little over $500,000 total.
It would almost double your cost.
Because of benefits and...
Benefits, health insurance. You can't imagine the cost of health insurance. Health insurance for a lower paid range employee is half as much as their whole base salary.
So you got them at $10.
$10.25, and if the budget continues to go through from where it was here, it'd be $10.50 starting July 1. Our whole goal when we started that process was to catch them up with Wilson County. Well, as we were slowly increasing, Wilson County didn't do slow increases, they did jumps. They're currently at 12.
As time goes on, it's going to be harder and harder to get anybody to take that job.
It is harder and harder now.
$10.50 an hour.
Well, it's not just the money, it's just the biggest struggle we have is we have spoiled our residents to death, and they think they can do what they want, when they want, and how they want to do it. And literally Saturday, got a phone call, Weekly Lane, man came in with a big truckload of brush. We hadn't taken brush in years. And the superintendent told him, we don't take brush, I'm throwing it away anyway. No, you can't throw it, you need to go ahead and leave. Well, the man completely unloaded his truck. With the superintendent the whole time telling him, no, you can't do that. So the superintendent did the right thing, he said, then you don't need to come back. So if you ever been to Weekly Lane, he went out the exit gate, circled right around, came back in the entrance gate, said, I'm back. So my superintendent walked around behind his truck, gonna get his license plate number. He put it in reverse and tried to back over him. When he went by him, the superintendent walked in front of the truck and he tried to run over him again. So the Smyrna police were called, and we hope that he gets charged with whatever. But and we've got a resident that's out in the Almoville community that I've told not to come back. You know, so it's a bigger struggle. And once we get through our process with the SWAC committee and Middle Point does close, then it doesn't matter if it's tomorrow or 100 years from now, and the prices go way higher, residents are going to be worse because they're not used to paying for stuff. And it's not going to be easy. And I don't envy y'all's jobs in making those votes because you're going to get a lot of complaints, but dadgum. When I got that phone call Saturday, I was very tempted, but I did not. I was just tell them lock the gate and all of you go home. But can't punish the whole community for one idiot.
I'll make a motion to approve his report.
Second.
Made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
We have a couple of budget amendments and the litter grant thing y'all want to do. Which one y'all want to do first?
Whatever you want.
Let's go to litter grant, it's the easiest one. Litter grant is something we apply for each year through TDOT. It's been running and we assume it's going to be the same thing, it's $95,100 a year. A few years ago it went up to 107 just for that 1 year. They had some extra money and they divided that out to get their money back down. And then they got that taken care of. So it's an application that we put in yearly. It involves the recycle education coordinator's position, a full-time litter crew driver, which if you remember in our budget, we requested an extra one of those to have 2 full-time and a part-time, plus all the stuff that goes along with that. That $95,100 does not cover our budget. Our budget somewhere around 150, a little higher than that, but it sure helps. There's a lot of paperwork that's involved with it, but that's what we do. So
The $150,000 budget is for litter and
not all.
recycling.
It's for litter and recycling education.
100 what?
So
150?
this year that we're in now is 147,000. And I don't remember what the budget number for next year, if it gets approved, be an extra person salary plus a van and a trailer. And I don't remember what the total number was now. Somewhere close to 80,000. Does that sound close, Mr. Mayor?
I don't know, but still yet to finalize that.
Well, that's true. I'm trying to help myself here, reminded that we need it. But the litter grant is the application we go through, and it has to go through the commission and a resolution that goes with it that y'all have said that we're going to do it. We send all that to the state, and it starts next budget year. But we've got till August to actually get it done. But we don't want to wait till August. We want to go ahead and do it and get the paperwork turned in. You want to take all of it in one vote. You're going to do this by itself.
Take your grant
Well, you need
separate from
your resolution is authorizing your litter grant submission, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we need to do.
Okay.
do that separate from the budget amendments.
So you need a motion to proceed with the grant application.
Apply for the grant and accept it if
Okay.
awarded.
Well, the resolution is
She's got the resolution,
presented. You should have, there's a resolution.
Okay.
Approve the resolution is presented, authorizing applying for the grant, and then accept it if
Well, then, to kind of help answer your question, if we go through with the salaries and the benefits part of the litter grant, $174,000, almost $500.
But the grant is limited to the 95-1.
Yes, that's all, that's,
That's all
they
we're gonna get.
reimburse, yes.
Regardless of what we spend.
You got it last,
Sir?
did you get it last year?
Yes, we get it every year.
Did you make the motion? Or to approve the resolution?
I will make that motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
You can do by acclamation because you're basically approving.
Motion made, and second, all in favor?
Aye.
We have two budget amendments to bring for you tonight. Last month, we did a budget amendment to hire a part-time driver and the dollars to go for the salary, but we did not include the benefits to go along with that. So we need to do the budget amendment to add in for the salaries and the pension and the disability and the Medicare and all that kind of stuff. And it's coming out of the same budget, it'd be coming out of the asphalt line item. So we're asking for $3,240 there.
So moved.
Second.
No, this one we have to do roll call. Do you want to do we need to do this separately?
Separately out of different funds.
Commissioner Dodd?
Yes.
Commissioner Kush?
Yes.
Commissioner Nipper?
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yes.
And this next budget amendment is for the landfill leachate collection and treatment. We had the budget line item way off when we started. We started with that $20,000 line item. We're already up to $116,950. We're going to ask for $35,000 more. We've averaged a little over $13,000, right at $600 a month. The last 4 months, we've been under that amount. We have about $7,000 left in there that's not been spent yet. So we're thinking $35,000 will definitely get us through the end of the budget year.
We still had a lot of rain, but your costs are going down? Or is some other reason you're,
We've got a lot of dirt covering, so our infiltration has gone way down. And it still generates leachate on its own, but the rainwater getting in it, we just about got stopped.
Where are you with your TDEC partnership in terms of the?
did you say partnership?
Fines, that's a nice way of saying
There you
it.
go, man. I like that.
We have to work
I
together.
like that.
We're well, I'll let you answer that one.
We've appealed their findings.
Yes.
They had set a date for a hearing. They have requested a continuance, to which we certainly agreed. And so the time has been put off before we actually have a discussion with it in an administrative legal forum. We believe that they're going to offer some sort of settlement and allow us to count a substantial amount of these dollars we've spent in remediation toward the fines.
Good. Good. Well done.
Will you ever get in front of this? That leachate was
Yes, we've got they call it a technical term through TDEC and engineering is a berm. I call it a dam. We're going to build one of those. Right now is if the leachate gets off the footprint of the landfill, we can't stop it.
contain it and pump it. It's
So, yes, so we've got
going to keep coming. But
Yes, right now that's what we're doing, containing and pumping. And we're wanting to build that berm in case we lose it, it's still contained.
where does it go? Treatment? Sewer treatment plant?
On-site environmental is the one hauling it for us, and it goes to Nashville to be treated. And it costs us 12 cents a gallon for hauling and treatment.
Does it go back in the Cumberland or?
I don't know the answer to that. When we haul it ourselves, it goes to the Murfreesboro wastewater treatment.
Need a motion on the second budget amendment?
Motion.
So we did.
No, they did them separately. This is on the second budget amendment.
Okay. I thought we did that too. Motion approved. We did. Second.
Commissioner Commissioner Dodd?
Yes.
Commissioner Kush?
Yes.
Commissioner Nipper?
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yes.
And a shameless plug, had a commissioner come by and visit the solid waste department a week or so ago, and got to show him our very crude facility. So if y'all get the opportunity, come by and visit with us. Maybe when we start working on the Florence Road project, you'll see a favorable reason to build that.
I observed that these gentlemen are working in an outhouse, in an open shed mechanics garage. They're doing a lot with very little.
Thank y'all very much.
Motion adjourned.
Second.
Ah.